Hello, and welcome to This Old Torah Dude. This week, we have two Torah portions, Vayak'hel and Pekudei. And for these two Torah portions, we're going to be building life-size replicas of the tabernacle and all of the implements inside it. Now, we're going to start with a simple cut with our saw, and we're going to remember, safety first. Honey, I need you to get me all the bandages.
Okay.
Wait. I'm afraid what you heard was get me a lot of bandages. I need you to get me all the bandages.
Fine.
Vayak'hel and Pekudei come to us from Exodus chapter 35, verse 1 through chapter 40, verse 38. And mainly these two Torah portions focus on Oholiab and Bezalel building the implements for the tabernacle and building the Ark of the Covenant and building everything like that. We read previously how Moshe gave them all the instructions, or more specifically how the Lord gave Moshe all the instructions. And so now we're reading about these things actually being built. But the passage I want to focus on this week comes to us from Exodus chapter 35, verse 30 through 36. Then Moses said to the people of Israel, "See, the Lord has called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with skill, with intelligence, with knowledge, with all craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs and to work in gold and silver and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood for work in every skilled craft. And he has inspired him to teach both him and Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with skill to do every sort of work done by the engraver, or by a designer, or by an embroiderer in blue and purple and scarlet yarn, and fine twined linen, or by a weaver, by any sort of workman or skilled designer." What's interesting is we see that their ability as craftsmen come from the Lord. We see this is the way that the Lord has gifted them. And by this description, you can tell these are kind of jack of all trades guys who can build anything. But these skills come from the Lord, and the Lord had a purpose for them to have these skills. Too often, we want to put the Lord's gifting in a box. We want to say, well, the Lord only gifts people in preaching or teaching or evangelism. Or we want to say, well, since the Lord didn't make me outgoing and charismatic, that the Lord clearly doesn't have a plan for me. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. The fact of the matter is, the Lord has gifted us all uniquely and specially because He has a specific plan for us. He has specific works set out, prepared in advance for us to do. And He has gifted us specifically for those works. People not acknowledging when the Lord gifts them in an unusual way generally leads to two problems. One is people ignoring their gifting, saying, my gifting is the wrong kind. My gifting is the kind that doesn't lend itself to what I normally think of as spiritual gifting. And so people ignore it. People allow their spiritual gifts to fall by the wayside just because it's not something that they generally associate with doing the Lord's work. Think about Bezalel and Oholiab. Their skills were craftsmanship. Their skills were building things and making things. Now, when we think of service to the Lord, that's generally not the first thing we think of. We don't think, well, the Lord made me a great carpenter so I can go carpent. No, sorry. I don't, what is the word of, anyway, there are a lot of different ways the Lord can gift us. And understanding that sometimes those gifts don't fit into a narrow box allows us to come up with creative ways to serve the Lord. Even something as ridiculous as acting like a clown on YouTube can be used as a means of serving the Lord. The other way that people not recognizing their gifting can be a problem is for them try and act in a way that's contrary to how they've been gifted. Thinking, well, I have to be an evangelist, or I have to be a preacher, or I have to be a teacher.
Do you have a minute to talk about my Lord? He has pile-drived your sins. He has locked your iniquities in a figure 4 leg lock, and he has dealt with your guilt with an elbow from the top rope. So what do you think? Can I see you in church this Sunday? Is that a maybe?
Not realizing that the gifts that the Lord has given you are specific and related to specific good works that he has prepared in advance for you to do. Think about Nehemiah. Nehemiah was gifted with project management. Now, when we think of great spiritual gifts, how often does project management come in the list? How about Esther? Her gift was charm. With her charm and the Lord's favor, she was able to become queen. With her charm and the Lord's favor, she was able to sway the heart of the king and save her entire race of people. It wasn't through some great teaching or anything like that. It was through being likable. And just like Esther, you are where you are for such a time as this. Because the Lord has good works prepared in advance for you to do. In Romans chapter 12, starting in verse 3 and ending in verse 8, it says, "For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, do not think of himself more highly than he ought to, but think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. For as in one body we have many members, and the members do not all have the same function, so we, though many, are one in Messiah, and individually members of one another. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, let us each use them. If prophecy, in proportion to our faith. If service, in our serving. The one who teaches in his teaching, the one who exhorts in his exhortation, the one who contributes in generosity, the one who leads with zeal, the one who does acts of mercy with cheerfulness." You see, gifts, this list of gifts that we're seeing, too often is looked at as an exhaustive list, meaning these are all the spiritual gifts that there are, and you have to have one of those. You know what? There are a lot of spiritual gifts that are not listed here. These are just some examples. Maybe the Lord has gifted you as a craftsman. Maybe the Lord has gifted you as somebody who can make people laugh. Whatever that gifting is, the Lord wants you to use it for his purposes. And the Lord has prepared works in advance for you to fulfill those. This passage also uses the image of a body, the idea of the congregation of Messiah being a body. And the thing to remember about the body of Messiah is there are no vestigial organs. There's nobody that's part of the body of Messiah that doesn't serve a purpose or that can be removed with no consequences. You may feel that way, but it's not true. I'm here to tell you that is a lie. There is a purpose for you. The Lord has a purpose for your life. So, what are some unusual ways that the Lord has gifted you? And if you haven't thought of how maybe the Lord can use your gifting, maybe we could get a discussion going in the comments. And I'd like to encourage everybody, if you see somebody mention in the comments on this video a gifting that maybe they're not sure how to use, maybe throw out some ideas in ways that they can use their gifting for the Lord. So that's a lot to do in the comments, and I'm sorry to do this video with a homework assignment, but that's how it goes sometimes. If we gave you a laugh, give us a like, and if you learned something, give us a share. I'm the Messianic Torah dude. Shalom, and stay in the Word.